Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here. Welcome to our lecture on how to plant a hanging basket. We're going to talk about design elements, structure, planting, and care. I've been an ag teacher for 7 years now, but have spent 40 years of my life in the greenhouse and nursery industry. The information you're about to receive has been ripened over time and reflects a desire to produce a product for our customer that is not only something that will look good, but will also perform and last through customer care. When we're picking out a hanging basket for the design process, the first thing that we need to establish is what type of basket are we trying to build? Are we building a trailing hanging basket, a semi-trailing hanging basket, or an upright hanging basket? And yes, there are 3 different types of hanging baskets. Let's go into those. The first one is a trailing basket. Now this is a basket where all of the plant material on there extends well below the entire basket. So it covers the bottom of that pot and then extends below that. So some of the plants that we might find in a trailing basket would be sweet potato vine, petunias, verbena, and some other things like that that have a long trailing nature to them. This basket that is in the example does have a red and white verbena, 2 different types of, well, a purpley pink and then a purple trailing petunia, sweet potato vine, and up top to cover the bare spot, there is a scaevola. Okay, so this is an example of a trailing basket. The next version we have is a semi-trailing. So this one here has a yellow petunia on the top, and that is an upright and mounding style of petunia. It also incorporates a little bit of lobelia there, a purple calibrachoa, and then we look down near the edges of that and we start to see a yellow calibrachoa and a bacopa that trails a little bit lower. And a semi-trailing basket is one that does cover the bottom of the pot, but doesn't extend much further than the bottom of the pot. So that's a semi-trailing basket. The last shape that we're going to look at is an upright basket. Now this is the type of basket that you most commonly see at your big box stores. This is a basket that's designed by those growers to fit as many baskets in a semi-trailer truck as possible, and they put them pot to pot to pot. So this one is designed to maximize the profit of the store that it's being shipped to. It's not necessarily the type of basket that we want to send our customers, and that when you have this style of basket, the plant material mainly stays on the top third of the pot, and it mounds up and points skyward. You'll see that this material does not extend beyond the bottom of the pot, and at least some of that pot is visible at all times. The second thing that you need to consider is what location is your basket going to be placed? Is it going to be placed in full sun? Is it going to be placed in shade? Or is it going to be placed in part sun? And part sun is a basket that might, it needs to be out of the sun by 10 o'clock in the morning and then can't have sun again in the summer until about 6 o'clock in the evening. So it's really out of the sun during the heat of the day. So number 2, choose your desired basket location type. So if we're looking at a sun basket, this again is a great example of a sun basket. Everything in here handles the sun and the heat quite well. So your petunias and sweet potato vine are 2 plants that really love it when it starts to get hot out there. The petunia may slow down a little bit once temperatures approach 100, but that's where that sweet potato vine really thrives and really starts taking off. So if you're in an area that gets fairly warm in the summer, for a foliage or other structure and color, adding a sweet potato vine would be a great idea. So some of the plants we may see in there is petunias, calibrachoa, pechoas, verbena, ipomea or sweet potato vine, geraniums. This one also has a scaevola or half flower in there, but you're going to pick plants like that that thrive well in the sun. Shade plants are going to be things like fuchsias, impatiens, and begonias. With those, these are some examples of some trailing fuchsias. The one closest to us is a red spider. The one to the right of the gentleman is a Marinka, and then directly behind him is a swing time. Now, these shade baskets were planted actually in October for sale in May. So these are a larger size basket than what you may used to be seeing. Part sun, that's going to be your Bacopa, your Lobelia, your New Guinea impatiens, some of your dragonwing begonias. Those are part sun plants. They're plants that really thrive with a little bit of shade. Sometimes you will find these plants actually planted in amongst other sun plants. So Bacopa is an example that is generally a part sun plant, but you can actually plant that in a sun basket and it will actually use the other plant material in the basket to shade it and give it its part sun need. But a part sun basket, again, those are ones that want to be out of the sun by 10 o'clock and not back in the sun until 6 p.m. With our baskets, the layout of the plants is also very important. In a 10-inch basket, you're going to be looking to place 4 plants, and you would see those where this basket marks as trailing. So you would put, I would put 2 trailings opposite of one another. So for example, the trailing space that is on the top, I would put a trailer there. And then on the bottom where it says trailing, I would put another trailer there. Upright or mounding on a 4-pot 10 or 4-plant 10-inch baskets, I would put 2 mounding plants opposite of one another, so one on the right and then one on the left, leaving the center empty because a 10-inch pot doesn't have enough space for 4 plants. If we're moving to a 12-inch basket, so a 12 to 14-inch basket, this is where we're going to place 5 plants. With this, you put your upright or mounding plant in the center and then put your trailing plants all around the outside. If you do desire to put just 2 trailers and then 3 upright or mounding, when you plant like that, you put your trailers opposite of one another and then your mounding opposite of one another. Don't put both of your mounding or both of your trailers on the same side as the pot, otherwise your basket will become lopsided and it'll look awkward while it's hanging. In 6 to 18-inch baskets, you're going to place 6 plants in those and you'll arrange them as they fit with the idea that the trailers are to the outside and the upright and mounding is in the center. Here we get into the arrangement. We'll go a little bit further. With our baskets, we want to place that upright and mounding plant right in the center of the basket. This covers the stems and the top of the basket and roots. It prevents that basket from getting a bald spot, which tends to develop on your petunias and your verbena as the summer wears on. So petunias and verbena, petunias in particular, they will bloom on the bottom 2/3 of the branches. So if you're looking at the side of the branch or the side of the basket, by the end of summer, only the bottom 2/3 will have flower and up top will actually be bald. It'll have maybe a little bit of foliage, but no plant material. And that's where an upright or mounding plant comes in because it'll fill in that top third of that basket and make sure that that root system up there is covered. Again, if you're using plants, make sure that you place similar growth habits such as trailing, place them on opposite sides to keep that basket from getting lopsided. One of the other things is we don't have to have every single plant in that basket be flowering. We can actually add in a few plants that are actually foliage. So this is where you would get things like licorice vine, creeping Charlie, Ipomea or sweet potato vine, or some of those other plants that provide more of a structure or greenery, and they break up the blossoms, allowing that basket to look a little bit fuller. Lotus vine is another one in there. It's got a thin needle-like leaf, which can actually kind of fuzz out the edges of the basket and really fill that in and make it look spectacular. Once you do start to plant your baskets, make sure that you are not overfilling your basket. You do need to have something called freeboard at the top of that basket So when you're all said and done, there should be at least a minimum of 1 inch at the top of your basket, but no more than 1.5 inches. So you want to have that room for that water to collect. So when you're pouring with a watering can or using a hose, the water has space to pool before it runs down into the basket. And that ensures that your customer only has to water that basket once per watering and not twice to get enough water in the basket. You are going to also fill in the gaps, but not compress the soil. Compressing the soil removes too much of the air gaps in there, and it compresses it. It can damage the roots, and also you're adding unnecessary soil to the pot and adding extra cost. So you'll put those plants in the basket. You may pick it up and tap it on the table a few times, or water it, allow the soil to settle, and then add more media to the top of it. Please, please, please do not add any rocks, sands, or screens at the bottom of the pot. That is an old wives' tale. It does not help drainage. It actually inhibits drainage. That can create a situation called a perched water table, where actually the water will sit on top of the stones or rocks and not drain properly through the basket. Most all baskets are designed to have a small hole that will hold your plant or your potting mix in there and then allow for proper drainage. So please don't put anything in the bottom of your basket. If you are planting with a plastic pot, many of them do come with a screen on the bottom or a little elevated tray. Please remove that and discard it. You don't need that for your basket, and it also will create a perched water table, which is bad for your basket. The other thing that's an old wives' tale is don't break up the root ball of your transplants. 4-inch herbaceous plants will never become root bound. That's not a thing in herbaceous plants. You may find that in nursery stock like woody ornamentals, but you are not going to find that in herbaceous annuals. So do not break up, disturb, smash, tear, or distort the root balls of your plants. What you're doing with that is you're actually setting them back. You're forcing them to build a new root system rather than building on the existing root system or increasing the amount of foliage. So you're actually cutting time and costing yourself money if you break up that root ball. So try to keep that as intact as possible. Once you've got your plants in there, that's when you're going to add the hangers. This is going to allow you to move that plant material around and also give you a chance to place that hanger in there so that you don't damage the plants adding them at a later time. So as soon as you're done transplanting into the pot, go ahead and add the hangers as instructed by manufacturer's directions.